Hey everybody, welcome to another MyMusic. Today I will be speaking to Fran. I'm Graham, by the way. We were discussing my name just before we came on. We've both got fairly short names, which is great. I mean, no one's got a complicated name here, which makes it even easier, doesn't it, really? What's your name, by the way, out there in
My name is.
listener land? No,
Not me.
I'm talking about them. Yeah. What's their name? What's your name? Well, tell us about you. Come and join in. This is Fran. I'm Graham. You're whoever you are. We'll find out who you are after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
You have to excuse me, Fran. Those chaotic little moments are the moments that I really live for. That will be a clip, by the way, and it will be there for the annals of time. How are you doing anyway? How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm learning how to organize myself so I can get things done that I need to get done.
Cool. Organizing oneself in life is one of the most difficult things out there, unless you're incredibly organized by nature. Are you not an organized beast?
I thought I was, and then my idea of myself was absolutely. I got to shine a light on that pretty quickly. Yeah, it's very easy to organize yourself once you have not much to do. And then as soon as you start getting the things that you've been working towards, all of a sudden you're like, wait, I have to sit down and really find my priorities. So that's
Okay,
where we're at.
I'm gonna ask you a really telling question now. All right. As someone that helps organize other people for a living as part of my work, but it's pretty bad at organizing myself. Are you better at organizing other people or better at organizing you?
Oh yeah, because you can give advice all day.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't know you did that for a living, and I might have to talk to you about that on the side because I might need some help with that. But yeah, of course it's easy, and I love giving advice for other people because I know what I should do for myself as well. It's just a little bit different when you have to put action behind the words. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When did it start going crazy?
Well, what's crazy? You know, I would
What
say
is
it's still.
crazy?
It's still not going crazy because I still work other jobs. So I think
Yeah.
the moment that I quit that other work and really focus on this and have to deal with really scrambling to make that my sole income is when I'll be able to say, "Oh my gosh, I went crazy." But I'd say probably 6 months ago is when that became even a semblance of a possibility.
Yep. That's really now. This is a really interesting time to speak to you because you're at that kind of crossroads. Then, in terms of moving out from doing the work that you do to support the passion, which is the music, etc. And a lot of artists will either sit with work and music for the entire length of their lives and they'll be happy with that. Others know that they've got to focus in on the music at some point, and that means ditching everything else. And that's real hard. That's real hard. What's the biggest fear for you in all of that?
So let me backtrack a little bit because I 100% believe that you can only get new opportunities once you make the room for them.
Correct.
So then we go back to this thing of like, what do I believe and what do I actually enact in my life? Because I've been saying that's all the advice I give. You should quit the job because first off, it's a step that proves to yourself and to the universe, whatever you believe in, that you believe this can happen for you. So now you open the door and allow it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then the rent check comes and you're like, oh yeah, but let me just nothing's in my inbox right now that will fulfill this, and I have this job, so let me just push it, blah blah blah. And so then you're in this thing that you know that believing in yourself means taking these actionable steps, but when it comes down to it, like you know, it's harder to do than just to take the leap, which I'm getting closer to doing. But the biggest fear, obviously, is that it's not going to click in right away. And it won't. I know it won't. And in a way, it's a good thing that it won't, because in those times of desperation is when you get the best ideas, when you don't have something to fall back on. And still you hear me telling you all this, and I still have those jobs. So actually yesterday I took the time to set an end date for those in my, like, written down, that I will abide by, and check back in on me in a year. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not going to check back in you on you yet. No, I'm not going to give you a year. We'll chat after this, and we'll make it happen before the year is out. Okay, because we don't want to be going into 2026 still having this same conversation, right?
No. Yeah.
I want to know. Okay, we'll come back to this, but I want to take you back then. When did the real dream start for you? I mean, when did it go beyond sort of like, I like singing, or I like making music, and, you know, I like humming along to other people or whatever, to, do you know what? I am going to do music.
Yeah.
When did that start?
Probably I really started singing around 2021.
Right.
And it was probably the later part of 2021 that I was using music as a very cathartic release. I was like at a very low point. Nothing seemed to be working out, which you probably know is the best time to have realizations. And yeah, you can only drink yourself into oblivion so much until you just don't feel anything. And singing just felt really good. It was a way to, I get kind of emotional talking about this, so my bad.
No, you're good, actually.
Okay. But yeah, it was just one of those things that as I was doing it felt really good physically, and it was god awful. It sounded bad, but I didn't do it publicly yet. And then once I started doing it publicly, I was lucky enough to be surrounded with just pure encouragement. Like the hater group, that kind of thing, didn't really I just was lucky enough that my things didn't get pushed out to that kind of algorithm. And so then I just kept doing it, and there was a point, the more I started doing it live with a band and really feeling live music is different than doing it in your room, and like the community of all coming together to make a piece that felt just super representative of where I was in the moment, and all those things that music does, that I was just like, oh, okay, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be standing in this moment. You know, when you get those feelings like not that many times during your life. And and I got that, and I was like, okay, I can do nothing else. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I haven't really changed my mind since. It was just like one of the few really clear things that I got in life so far.
Thank you for being so open and emotive with us. Secondly, here's the good thing that I'm going to tell you now, right? You know, you say you don't get that feeling that often.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I was going to say, I can tell you from all the myriad of conversations that I've had on this show, which is a lot, and knowing, because, I've been there, seen it, got the t-shirt. When this happens for you, you will feel that every single night.
Yeah. Right.
So that's good, right? That's
Yeah.
really good. And that
Mhm.
is that's why you want it so bad, isn't it?
Right. Because there's like no way to describe it except that with so many things in life, you just take the leap and you don't know if you're supposed to be doing this job and you're just kind of going with the motions. But it's scary when you have that feeling of like, oh, whatever is like outlining my path, I might have gone off, but in this second, my feet were supposed to be standing right here.
Yeah.
And it is the coolest feeling.
By the way, folks, for anyone that hasn't at this stage, you will do after this interview, checked out Fran and her music yet, just do that. As soon as you finish listening to us talking, go and do that, because she is a real talent and you will understand why she needs to be there in that space. And she will be there in that space. Fran, I'm going to say this to you very quickly before we carry on with the rest of the interview. You need to check out the interview that I did with my old friend Troy Miller, which is part of this series, right? Yeah, you can write that down. And Troy and I were in a band when we were very, very young. He was 10 when he started in that band, right?
Wow.
And I've, last time I saw him was in person, because he's a very busy person. It was probably 6-7 years ago, something like that, when we got the band back together for a night, because it was his brother's wedding. And I asked Troy a question, which I desperately wanted to ask him, which was, and at the time he's been touring with Natasha Bedingfield. He's been doing drums for Natasha Bedingfield, and he's played drums for Amy Winehouse. He's been Laura Mvula's musical director. He co-wrote the last Diana Ross album, right? He's at the top of the tree, right? But I said to him, do you still ever think about those early gigs and what it felt like? And he went, whenever I go into a room with a group of musicians, I'm still looking for that. I'm still looking for that feeling that we had back then, all those years ago. That feeling never goes. It's if you're in the magic, if you're in the moment with the right people, that feeling never goes. It's just a magic thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's one of the few things that has no brain involvement, like at all. And I'm such a in my head person constantly. It's my biggest thing I'm trying to work on, is to not overthink and not be in my head. And first off, music is the only time that shuts off. But yeah, that feeling is the least heady feeling. It's so instinctual. You can't do anything to not feel it.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. I can actually feel the excitement coming through right from here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Me too.
As a listener of music, who was the first, or artist, band, whoever, what was the first bit of music that actually made you get goosebumps and sort of like set the hairs going on you?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. It would be, there's so many. Because my mom listened to a lot of music to feel her feelings when I was younger, but I didn't have a personal connection to it at the time. Of course, I appreciated it. And a lot of it was Italian and Spanish music.
Wow.
We listened to a lot of Adele in the car and screamed that, and that was nice. And then I got into my own style of music that I like to listen to, which was a lot of soul. Lauryn Hill definitely had that impact on me. D'Angelo definitely had that impact when I first listened to him. And then it was things like Alan Stone really, really stuck with
Yeah,
me. Masego, things that feel super authentic and have some Kamau. Have you heard of Kamau?
yeah.
Things like
Hey,
that really.
I've got to say this for a minute. When you mentioned D'Angelo, have you ever seen the Jules Holland with him? You ever seen that?
No,
Oh my
no.
word! You've got to
Wait,
see
what is
that.
it?
Jules, right? So we have a show called Jules Holland. He's
Okay.
Jules Holland. Jules Holland is a terrific songwriter, piano player. Right? He was in
Mhm.
Squeeze. He does he's got the best left hand in the business. Yeah. And he has a show in the UK where he champions new music. D'Angelo was on the show one time, and it just this live set. Oh, it's just
Was it
amazing.
at the beginning of his career?
It yeah, fairly early on. It's
Okay. Oh
really
yeah, he
really good.
performed Brown Sugar,
Yeah,
1995. Okay, I'll look that up. Cool.
I love this. What you're getting to see here, folks, is look, we're actually looking stuff up on friends like interacting
Yeah.
as we're talking, which is brilliant. What are you writing about?
Oh my God. Graham, I'm gonna cry on this whole fucking thing. Oh, can I curse?
We have now, so that's fine.
We can love that. Yeah, well, so actually I just finished recording an EP actually in Surrey with some really talented producers. And just because I really wanted to have a body of work out that was my own. And it talks about, I could only really write about what was super prevalent in my life. And it goes back to what we were just talking about intuition and not knowing how to follow it. A big theme of it is just fear. I am such a scaredy cat. I'm such a fear, or was, let me just say was, a fear-driven person. And especially around relationships. So scared, like, that I would just, do crazy things to not be scared. But so a lot of the songs ended up being about that. They end up being about not knowing how to follow my internal compass, or if I have one. Yeah, that's like really the theme of it, is like going through the things that hurt, just
But you
because you
said
want.
earlier on, you used the word cathartic. So, I mean, now
Yeah.
having written those songs, do you
Yeah.
almost feel like you've left a lot of that behind?
Yeah, or at least it's super aware to me now. I kind
Okay.
of like became aware of that as I was writing it, because I would write each of these songs I wrote like actually most songs I write like in the depths of the emotion, because that's first off when the words come so clearly, and then when you finish writing it and you're just a pile of boogers and tears, and you look at your work and you're like, this is exactly representative of what I'm feeling right now, even if some of the words I'll switch out because they're too on the nose or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's how you know that it's first off honest. But yeah, of course it'll be a thing that I continue to deal with. It's not something like, oh, I'm now healed. But it definitely made it more aware to me, and in turn easier to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aware, but not hardened.
Right. I think what got in the way was just I had this idea of myself that didn't have a lot of these like issues. Like, I'm very confident and blah 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 blah. And then as you keep going through relationships in life, you realize that that idea of yourself is not so perfect. This sounds all very obvious, but in the moment as I was learning it, I was like completely baffled. And letting
think
go of that perfectionist and just like that perfectionist in me and just really looking at the core vulnerability in me that gives me those feelings was helpful.
I think that's very wise, actually. I think actually that most people only have one or two truths in their life.
Mm.
And actually, I think when you're young, you probably think that you probably can suss more of it out and you can probably have more truths, but the reality is you can't.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then of course you get to my age and then you just don't give a flying monkeys.
Yeah.
But
I can't wait for
that. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Anybody that thinks like, you know, and of course, like when you're young, you think, oh, kind of like invincible, and I can just make it through and whatever. Actually, invincibility comes with vulnerability.
Yeah.
It really does.
Oh, it's so hard to learn that through failing. It's so difficult because your whole like idea of reality is turned upside down. And I'm like going through that right now. Yeah, it's so hard because then my type A mindset is like, okay, I have to fix them all. I have to fix all these things I'm finding out right now. Because if not, I can't live like this. And that's just not how it works.
No,
Yeah.
it isn't how it works. And do you know what tells you that? Here's super lesson number 2. The thing that tells you that is music. Music is the answer, right?
Yeah.
But music is also the thing that shows you that there is no answer as well, because you just have to listen to music that people have produced over the years, and you hear, if you listen through someone's whole life, it's just one thing that gets lifted and then put down, gets replaced by something else that gets lifted and put down.
Mm-hmm.
And that just keeps going on. And it maybe only right at the end of someone's life do you suddenly hear from people a sense of kind of, do you know what, I'm okay with it not being okay. That's what you hear. You listen to any of the albums, right, and there's probably none better than Bowie's last album, for example, where you can just hear that he's okay with it not being okay. And that's, you know, it's and that's why it's so emotional for people as well, listening to something like that, because it's kind of, it opens up that kind of box of wow. there's no happy ending, but there's a romance of just life itself.
Yeah. This feels like a therapy session.
Sorry about
but
that.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. It's good. I don't have it, so this is the best way to get it. But yeah, that's true. That's very true. That ends up being the most powerful state to be in, instead of trying to fix all the things, because it's just not realistic.
No, I agree. We only have a few minutes left, but I want to thank you for your wonderful time today.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's just 30 minutes.
It is just 30 minutes. We can come back though and do another one, right?
Okay.
At some point when you've got like everything together and you're pushing it again, you come back and do another. You know, some people have been on 3 or 4 times. That would be brilliant. So, firstly, I want to say, what song, when this all comes out, what song am I adding to the My Music podcast playlist, and should everybody immediately add to their playlist?
Yeah. The song I'm most like of mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The song I'm most happy with the way it was written, and I just feel like it's a great culmination of everything we've been talking about, is Holster. Talks about how to love without your hand on the holster. Perfect. So that one. Yeah, Holster's my favorite. It's the first one I wrote.
It's a beautiful thing. What would you like people to help you with going into 2025? They're all rooting for you now. You see, everybody having listened to this is now completely rooting for you. So how can people help you in 2025? Could be a little thing, could be a big thing.
Yeah. I think I think if oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't want to just say like listen to it, but listen to it if it resonates. But I guess if it does resonate, I don't mind the personal messages. Right now I'm at a point where I still get back to them. If anyone wants to let me know how it has helped them resonate with something, I gain a lot of value from that. So DM me, fill my inbox.
Do you know what? I think that's a really wise thing to say, because do you know what? I think a lot of people out there think that they can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't sort of, spam people with those messages. I think an artist would far rather have someone spam them by saying, this resonated with me, it's touched my life, it's changed me, and stuff like that, than, "Hoi, I love you."
Yeah. And I think it sometimes means a lot more from people that I don't know. They don't owe me anything. It's not like I'm showing it to my mom or my sister and they kind of have to like it. But someone that owes me nothing, letting me know how it impacted them is really valuable. Yeah.
Absolutely. We wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we wish you all of the best going into 2025. I definitely want to, A, have a conversation with you off air, and B, have you come back on again sometime and talk a bit more about your music. But for now, this has been the amazing, wonderful Fran. Do check out her music. We will go there'll be some little clips from this as well going around. Please do support those, etc. And if you've enjoyed this conversation today, you know what to do. Press the buttons and all of that, and do the follow thing as well. Thank you for making this a successful podcast in 2024 in the top 20% on Spotify, which is all down to you. Thank you very much. I'll be back soon with more of my music. Until then, the wonderful Fran, everybody.